Hello, good morning, beautiful people. You're welcome to my channel. I remain your host, Edith Ogenera Abirere, on this channel. Please, before I go on, I want to crave your indulgence to click on the red subscribe button to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification bell so you get to know when there is a new video on this channel. I have noticed with dismay that most people come in, view my videos, enjoy the content and sneak out without doing the needful. Please do that and I'll be grateful. In today's video, I'll be talking about fluid management in the perioperative period. Fluids are required in the intraoperative period for a number of reasons, which includes but not limited to maintenance and replacement of losses, that is, fluid lost from the body. Hence, in today's video, we'll be talking about the requirements of fluid in the perioperative period. This means that I will be taking into account some parameters that should be considered, calculation of these parameters, estimation of fluid required in the intraoperative period, and case study. Don't touch the dial. Now, for the parameters to be considered, we'll be talking about 5 major parameters. The first is fluid deficit. That is talking about fluid loss during the fasting period when patient is on meal per hour. Then also fluid loss from bowel washout, bowel preparation, fluid loss from the suctioning of the NG tube. You know, for some patients will pass NG tube to decongest the stomach. So those fluids that are suctioned out of the NG tube should be considered. Then talking about patients that have been vomiting and those on colostomy, we have to consider the colostomy output. Then the second parameter to consider is maintenance of the required fluid. You know, during surgery, we have to maintain the fluid in the system. Loss during sweat, feces, urine output, and evaporation of water from the respiratory tract. Then talking about third space losses. Third space losses is talking about transfer of fluid, which are usually isotonic, from the ECF, the functional compartment, to the non-functional compartment of the body, which is the interstitial part of the body. Then we take into consideration blood loss. For every blood loss, there should be a replacement. That is talking about blood loss from the surgical site during the ongoing surgery. Then lastly, we talk about special or additional losses. Now let's move on to the calculation for each parameter. We'll be starting with that of fluid deficit. For fluid deficit, you can get it from the following values from ml per hour. The ml per hour is gotten from multiplication of maintenance with the number of hours the patient fasted. That is the duration of fast. If it's 8 hours or 10 hours, you multiply it with a formula for calculating maintenance. Then we can also include the fluid from vomiting, which is measurable depending on the amount the patient passed. Then also same for the colostomy output. It depends on the amount the patient passed. Then also measurable is the NG suction. What is gotten from the patient is what is measured. But for the bowel preparation, the amount of fluid is usually 1 liter. Then now let's move on to maintenance. The maintenance can be gotten using the 4-2-1 formula, although some authorities will argue that this should be strictly for pediatrics, while other formula, which is 1.5 ml per kg per hour, should be for adults. But in some other quarters, the 4-2-1 rule is used for all patients. Now for the 4-2-1 rule, it is calculated as follows. For the first 10 kg, you have 4 ml per kg per hour. That is, you multiply all together. Then for the second 10 kg, 2 ml per kg per hour. You multiply all together. Then for the rest of the kilogram body weight of the patient, it is calculated as 1 ml per hour per kg. For the rest body kg, it could be 10 kg, it could be 20 kg, it could be 30 kg. This is depending on the body weight of the patient. Now let's move on to the normal values for urine, feces, and insensible losses. For urine, it is estimated as 1,500 ml per day, while for feces, it is estimated as 100 ml per day. And then for the insensible losses, it is estimated as 900 ml per day. So in general, it is expected that the total fluid loss from the system, total fluid output, should be around 2,500 ml per day for a normal individual. Now talking about the third space losses, this is dependent on the site and duration of surgery, the room temperature, the ambient room temperature, the room ventilation, and the amount of trauma to the tissue. So generally, talking about the amount of trauma to the tissue, this value could be between 2 to 6 ml per kg per hour. But on specific need for superficial trauma to the tissue, you can calculate using 1 to 2 ml per kg per hour. Then for minimal trauma, such as in knee surgeries, head and neck surgeries, hernia surgery, we can calculate using 3 to 4 ml per kg per hour. For moderate surgical trauma, it can be calculated using 5 to 6 ml per kg per hour. That's talking about surgeries like hysterectomy and chest surgeries. Then for severe surgical trauma, we can calculate using 6 to 8 ml per kg per hour. That's talking about abdominal, aorta, aneurysm repair. Then for the blood loss, it is calculated in a ratio of 1:1.5 for crystalloid solution and 1:1 for colloid. What this means is that for crystalloid solution, for every 1 ml of blood lost, it should be replaced with 1.5 ml of colloid. Then for every 1 ml of blood lost, it should be replaced with 1 ml of blood if you wish to transfuse, or 1 ml of colloid. Okay, now there is a little argument concerning this particular ratio because in some quarters, some persons will tell you the replacement for crystalloid blood loss should be 1:3. That is, for every 1 ml of blood loss, it should be replaced with 3 ml of crystalloid. Now there is a change to this in current anesthesia practice, according to A.J. Yadav. This is because in the past, it is believed that 2/3 of crystalloid crosses the endothelium into the extravascular space, that is the interstitial compartment, But with recent research, it has been proven that only 40 to 50% of crystalloid actually crosses the endothelium to the extravascular space. Hence, placement should be 1 is to 1.5 as against 1 is to 3. A formula for estimation of intraoperative fluid requirement is the sum of maintenance fluid, fasting deficit, third space losses, compensatory intravascular expansion, and other losses. It could also be calculated using an alternative formula, which is in the first hour it is calculated as 10 to 12 ml per kg of fluid, while in the later hours it is calculated as 5 to 7 ml per kg per hour plus losses for fluid. Now for the calculation of maintenance, let's take it that we have a 70 kg man who is billed for a 3-hour surgery. Using both formulas, the 1.5 ml per kg per formula, will be taking some calculation. For the 1.5 ml per kg per hour formula, we'll multiply 1.5 times 70 times 3, which will give us 315 ml. While using the 421 rule, we'll multiply 4 times the first 10 kg, giving us 40 ml. 2 by the second 10 kg, giving us 20 ml. And 1 by the rest kg, which is 50 kg, giving us 50 ml. And then we sum up all the values gotten, which is 40 ml plus 20 ml plus 50 ml, giving us 110 ml per hour. And we have said the surgery is for 3 hours, so 110 times 3 will give us 330 ml. For the fasting deficit, let's take it that this patient has been on meal per hour for 8 hours, and the formula for meal per hour, like we have already established before, is maintenance times duration of fast. Using the 1.5 ml per kg per hour formula, we have 1.5 multiplied by 70 and multiplied by 8, which is 840 ml. Or using 421 rule, we'll have 4 times 10, which is equals to 40 ml, 2 times 10, which will give us 20 ml, and 1 multiplied by 50, which will give us 50 ml. Altogether, we have 110 ml multiplied by 8 hours, which will end up giving us 880 ml. Now, for this value, for the first hour, you give 50% of the fluid, which is half, that is 440 ml. For the second hour, you give 25% of the fluid, which is a quarter of the fluid, giving us 220 ml. For the third hour, you give 25% also, which is also quarter, giving us 220 ml. Third space loss. Third space loss is calculated using 3 to 4 ml per kg per hour formula. Now we have established that the surgery will last for 3 hours. So using 3 ml, we have 3 multiplied by 70 and then multiplied by the 3 hours, giving us 630 ml. Or if we are to use 4 ml, we have 4 multiplied by 70 and then 3, giving us 840 ml. Blood loss. Blood loss is talking about the ongoing blood loss. Now, we have said that for crystalloids, it's in a ratio of 1 is to 1.5, while for colloids, is in a ratio of 1 is to 1 ml. So, for the crystalloids, we have 500 ml of blood loss with a replacement of 1500 ml. Now for the colloid, we have 500 ml of blood loss, which should be replaced with 500 ml of colloid. For other losses, let's assume we have 100 ml.